This is Cultural Debris with host Alan Cornett.
Rose Sheffler, welcome to Bookish Questions with Cultural Debris.
Thank you, Alan. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that you're here. We're separated by some 70 miles. You are in the Derby City as we are recording this. As you're recording this, the Derby is on the horizon. It will have passed by the time this comes out, and people will know who won the Derby. If we had that information, we could just retire and not worry about things like podcasts and writing books. But
I know we would retire forever if we knew who was going to win.
So if somebody in the future wants to send us that information, we'd appreciate it. But we are here to talk about your new book, Past Watchful Dragons.
I'm so excited they sent you a copy.
Yeah, I'm always happy to get books from the folks at Word on Fire, and this is from the votive sub imprint from them, which I think this is the first time I have had one of those from votive. But they always do a beautiful job at Word on Fire. The books are very well produced, and they do just a great design work. And we have a sort of ominous eye of a dragon here, but wait, if we open it, it's not ominous at all. Very peaceful.
I love that effect.
And
so cool
and lovely. Yeah, it's nice. So that, I mean, this some real care and thought. And this sort of feature is not, it's not the sort of thing you get on an Amazon print on demand sort of thing. That's
nope.
Takes a little planning and thought and actual care in book production, which is nice to see. So these are biblical stories retold, and they are set in a mythical world, I assume, of your own imagining.
Yes, it is of my own imagining.
And this is written with a younger reader in mind. What age range of younger reader are we talking about here?
Well, the official age range is 9 to 15. And I say official because that's what's on the book. If you go on the website and take a look, Word on Fire, they'll tell you it's 9 to 15. However, the unofficial age range in my mind is everybody. So you said it was written to that age group. It actually wasn't written to that age group. I just wrote fairy tales. And the cool thing about fairy tales is they have this narrative voice that is not age specific. It's not genre specific. It's very inclusive, and I really enjoy that. So it is for children in one sense, but in another sense, I also like to say it is for the people reading it to the child as well.
So children of all ages, we will say.
Of course. However, I do think it will be a rich, imaginative space for kids' ages.
Sort of as the kids say, a YA aimed audience.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny because I think middle grade would be like 11 to 13, and then YA would be like 14 and older, and then elementary is 10, like maybe 9 and under. So it's a very cool age range.
Okay, gotcha. You have a C.S. Lewis quote here at the beginning, which I want to read. But supposing that by casting all these things into an imaginary world, stripping them of their stained glass and Sunday school associations, one could make them for the first time appear in their real potency. Could one not thus steal past those watchful dragons? Yes. I thought one could. And it also occurred to me the quote from Lewis, which I will paraphrase rather than quote, but basically, when you are old enough, you will read fairy tales again, something like that.
Yes.
So that's sort of what you have here. So you're reimagining this in the same vein as Lewis did for the Narnia books, would we say?
I think, yeah, in one sense, yes. So the idea was to take the Bible stories that we know so well, because I think that children's parents do such a good job of catechizing and teaching them the Bible, or grandparents too. And that provides, so you get kids and then later teens and adults that know the Bible very, very well. And they know these familiar stories, like the story of the Nativity, and they know Adam and Eve, and they know Queen Esther, and they know all these stories that are so rich and deep and beautiful from the Bible. And yet, because we know something so well, it's hard to understand it in a way. There's things that we can miss. There's things that we might be not receptive to because of how we learned about it or how familiar we are with it. So my idea was, could you, in a sense, strip down the truth from its stained glass windows? Because when we all go to church, we have a certain way of interacting with the truth when we're at church. Could we take that away and then put on some new clothes, so to speak, and then let you interact with the deep biblical truths again in a different place, in a different time, in the way that C.S. Lewis let us interact with Aslan, which is a different kind of Jesus. I don't do a one-to-one allegory. I know he kind of did, but the idea is the same. And the title, The Past Watchful Dragons, is from that quote. And that was actually, an editorial suggestion by Word on Fire. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I said, yes, that's what I'm doing. And we went from there.
Editors can be good, actually.
Yeah. And I had a great one. Haley Stewart, she does she's the votive children's editor.
I got to meet her a couple of years ago at a Chesterton conference.
Oh, great.
Yeah, she was there. We chatted for a little bit. She seemed very nice. Yeah, it's the only time I've met her, but she seemed very nice. And actually, I think maybe she and I talked about the imprint at the time. I don't remember specifically, but we talked for a little while. But she seemed lovely. So you have kind of a wide open range. I mean, I've always thought with Bible stories that Hollywood has missed out on, because there's so many of these rich Bible stories that most people don't know. They're sort of hidden away, maybe in the Old Testament or something, but are quite dramatic, and that people just don't know them. And there's this rich source material. You've sort of taken that a step further by taking those core truths. And I also think about those mythology books that I would read as a young fellow years ago, back in the last century, when where they would take the essence of the mythological story, and then they would retell it. And people like Edith Hamilton and so forth, or even aimed at younger audiences. And that's where I got a lot of my foundation for understanding Greek and Roman myths and so forth, way back when. But somebody reading this isn't necessarily going to know that it's a Bible story unless they just are able to put the story together.
Yes. So if you didn't say biblical stories retold on the front of the book, which I feel like is a dead giveaway, then
well, it is from Word on Fire.
You wouldn't know at all. I feel like there would be moments where you wouldn't know until it hits you like a bolt of lightning, and that's kind of on purpose. And people who are looking for a Bible story book, just a fairy version, that's not what you're going to get. It's like I said before, it's not one-to-one. And the idea too is that you can let the story impact you in a different way. Because if you think, I'm going to read a Bible story, your frame of reference and how you think about the writing going into it will color and saturate how you receive what's being read to you or what you're reading. And we wanted to preemptively to kind of take that away and say, just interact with the truth. And that's one of the things I love about fairy tales is a lot of them, they're true. They're not factually true, but they are true. And I mentioned that in my author's note at the beginning, that, God's not a magician and the stars don't talk or sing in the way that we understand it. But at the same time, there's deep truth here that is speaking through this grand stage that we've tried to give it, the Bible, to like act out on this kind of imaginative stage.
Right. And we understand, I was mentioned a moment ago with Greek and Roman myths, that they too contain truth that is disguised in a story. I mean, they're not they're not speaking from a Christ-centered point of view, but nonetheless, we find those old truths that are cloaked in those stories, and you're kind of updating that approach. So what led you? What was your bolt of lightning that you thought Rose Sheffler, should start writing stories based on the Bible that are fairy tale versions?
The first bolt of lightning, and I've talked about this before, came now. See, I'm a Catholic convert, so I started this journey as a Protestant, and Protestants are very Bible saturated. I think this is because
I can
they lack a
attest.
few. Yeah, they lack a few of the sacraments, and the sacramental life is much more truncated for them. And so the Bible is super important. And I was doing morning devotions, and I was reading the Tower of Babel. And at the end of it, there was a line, or maybe there was something about it just struck me like a bolt of lightning, that it was so incredibly sad. It was such a sad story. And I had never noticed it before. And I was in my mid 20s. I've been reading the Bible since I could read. Um, and I had no idea how sad this story was. And I can't tell you how many times I've read the Tower of Babel, and I thought, what on earth? How how did I miss that? All this time, I'm an intelligent person. I've been reading the Bible my whole life. I treasure and cherish the Bible, and I had missed this little bit. And I don't remember the thought process going from how did I miss this to how could I capture that. But at some point, I was like, I could capture this. I could retell this in a way where I could capture that sadness. And for me, the jump to fairy tale was very easy because, one, I'm obsessed. I started collecting fairy tales when I was very young. I have read all 12 of Andrew Lang's fairy color books. You
Oh
know, there's
wow!
like the blue. I've read. There's
Oh yeah,
12 of
they're
them, but there's
very
actually
very
more than
impressive.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just decided I wanted to read them, and there were 12 of them, and I thought, oh, one book a month. I could just read them in a year, and I did. So I was saturated with that, and to me, there are a lot of similar things about the style of the Bible and the way that fairy tales operate, because they're these little microcosms of the way the world is, and they allow for the fantastic and the awe-inspiring and, dare I say, the numinous to kind of break in a way where people are like, yeah, it's completely fine for a severed head to be talking to me on a bridge, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you kind of receive that as, yeah, this is where we are, this is fine. And so I thought, why not put these Bible truths in that world where anything goes, anything can happen? There's this deep, saturated, magical awe and wonder and bigness to this small encapsulation of like reality, the story that I'm working with. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I just started going. I wrote the first one, which was actually Adam and Eve. And I took it to a critique group with my husband and some creative friends of mine. And they were like, this is amazing. You have to keep going. And they said, write any story that you want to write. So a lot of stories didn't make it in because I would get halfway through and be like, I can't do this. And I would throw it aside and do a different one. And it was really, really fun. I had a blast.
Sounds great. Well, that sounds like is that you have the germ of a sequel already started.
Yes.
You just have to
Yes.
go revisit those stories, finish
Mhm.
them out.
Yeah, there's several of them, and one of them that I realized that I was really glad didn't make it was a story focused on Mother Mary and kind of the nativity, and it didn't make it in, and I don't remember why, but I'm glad now because at the time I was not a Catholic, and I don't know that I would have been able to handle Mother Mary in the reverent way that she deserves. And so now I might go back and I might fail again, but this time I can at least fail, but try to fail well, if that makes
Right.
sense.
No, I understand. No, that's very well said, I think. Well, Rose Sheffler, the book is Past Watchful Dragons, and you can order this from Word on Fire, and they're very prompt there. And Sometimes
Yes,
they
they
even run specials. Not that you should wait for
I
one.
think
but
it's on
sometimes they
sale
do.
still. It might be 20% off still. I
Yeah.
know they ran a 20% off sale leading up to Easter. I don't know if it still is on sale. I hope it is.
Yeah. It's worth checking, and they do periodically put books on sale or select books on sale, but it is certainly well worth picking up, regardless, paying full freight or not. And I think it's a great project. I look forward to reading these myself. Perhaps I will feel 15 or younger again when I do
Well, I
so.
hope you love it. And please, I love asking people when they do read it. I want to know your favorite one. And I want to know what story you were sad wasn't in the collection. And because I love that feedback. Everyone has a different favorite story. And it's so fun to hear which one stood out to them.
Well, and as I mentioned, a sequel. I feel like that you really need to go on a quest to do a book to match each of the Lang books. So you need to do
Oh,
12
gosh.
total.
That would be quite the quest to complete.
Well, I mean, you completed the first one.
We'll see what happens.
You will be able to sneak past the Watchful Dragon on your quest.
Oh man, that would be quite the accomplishment. We'll see what happens.
Rose Sheffler, thank you for being on, and recommend
Thank you,
people pick up your book. We'll talk again, I hope.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, Alan. I've had a great time.
Thanks.